This is Matsumoto Hitoshi, one of the most famous comedians in Japan. He is part of a manzai duo known as Downtown and is a regular on programs such as Gaki no Tsukai. I discovered them through the annual No Laughing Games, in which the Gaki members must hold back their laughter for 24 hours or else be met with physical punishment. They can't help but laugh as they are bombarded with skits that are so relentless they are not safe even when trying to sleep. The games produce big laughs and they have become a beloved tradition to watch on New Year's, which is when they broadcast. It isn't always easy to decipher the intent behind jokes from other countries due to cultural differences or sometimes bad translation. But in a way, the structure of Japanese comedy, or owarai, can actually combat some confusion. It typically revolves around the boke and the tsukomi routine, the funny man versus the straight man. The boke's antics will seem odd at first, but it will all be contextualized when the tsukomi enters, usually with a well-timed retort. This is just a surface-level formula that can help categorize comedians. With a lack of content in official streaming platforms, many develop unfair generalizations of the Japanese comedy scene. The typical Western perception of owarai may align with Carla Cavelli, host of the Travel Channel show Planet Primetime. She interviews members of the Gaki no Sky asking,
I want to know why this kind of comedy is so popular in Japan, the punitive, punishing comedy.
To which Matsumoto replies,
いやいや、なぜこういうタイプのお笑いが流行っていないのかが僕らは聞きたいんです。
ちゃんと隠さないと。
To celebrate owarai and its vast array of comedic styles, including the aforementioned punishment comedy, Matsumoto Hitoshi created Documental, a show that pushes the no-laughing premise to the extreme. Produced by Amazon, this series is easily accessible, which makes it the perfect gateway into the Japanese comedy scene, and its unique owarai offers insight into what makes us truly laugh. Ten comedians are confined in one room for 6 hours. In this place, anything is allowed as long as they follow one rule: no laughing. They each have to put up an entrance fee of 1,000,000 yen, which is then combined into a 10,000,000 yen pot for the winner to take home. If a contestant laughs or smiles, they receive a yellow card, followed by the red, which will eliminate them. They can accumulate points by making others laugh, and whoever has the highest score among the last remaining few will be the winner. Matsumoto Hitoshi, the creator and host of this project, was allowed by Amazon to push the limits of censorship. Due to his renown and influence, he was able to invite anyone he wanted and sadistically pit these disparate comedians against each other. There are comedians from different agencies, underground scenes, one-joke acts, rookies, popular mainstream staples, and even one disgraced talent back from a long probation. Being faced with this random lineup may seem daunting, but the show is designed to be beginner-friendly. The first episodes spotlight all the comedians in the season, and they are awarded extravagant titles and given the chance to share what they feel they offer the show. They enter the room one by one, and their place in the scene is indicated by the reaction they receive by their peers. The more surprising and prominent guests usually appear last, accompanied by ominous bass music. The odds are stacked heavy against some comedians, as there is a hierarchical gap created by seniority, popularity, and gender. The female comedians sometimes defer to the pace set by the males. While the status and place of a comedian is more clearly defined, they still show respect for another by allowing jokes and situations to play out. Some contestants were clearly favored, while some were brought in to fail.
チャンピオンみたいになったでしょ。こんなもんおもろいやつがあんなんでチャンピオンになれるわけないですからね。おもろないの。
Matsumoto admits he found several of those invited to be unfunny, but the inclusions were necessary to mix up the formula and make the games more unpredictable.
いきます。
Documental's humor and the many cultural references will be lost on those unfamiliar with Owarai. Luckily, Matsumoto's constant laugh track provides a great resource for understanding. He finds genuine amusement with everything, unconcerned with good taste, and his laughter helps bring those watching in on the joke. The easiest jokes to understand are the visual and physical gags. They are simple enough for anyone to follow, although they do reach levels of vulgarity you may not be accustomed to.
たまほんま見てみこれ高市がやってんやんけ。
The show spans 6 hours, and as the comedians have exhausted everything else, they will attempt the tried and true dirty jokes. The comedians on Documental have no issues about stripping down. Some comedians will perform the gags that they are well known for. For example, Cookie, who gets some of the biggest laughs on the show, is iconic for his use of grotesque DIY costumes and props. However, many find that their signature bits fail to work in this context. The moments when the jokes fall flat is where we get to see the tsukkomi shine.
でこれ普通のバツケじゃないんですよ。バツケでもないしバケツでもないんですよ。
The tension created by the no laughing rule heightens the contestants' sensitivity to every insignificant detail, meaning the potential for comedy is everywhere.
するよりそういう会話とかツッコミとかそのやりとりで他を笑わすという。
Many jokes will collapse without the tsukkomi to react or call attention to it. You can see this happen during the first season when all the tsukkomis are knocked out. The comedians can't make each other laugh anymore because there's nobody there to further develop their ideas. Admittedly, Documental has plenty of dull moments as jokes don't always land perfectly. However, there are those who find success by leaning on their own failures. When the pressure is on to be funny, sometimes the opposite works. If there was one comedian Documental was made for, it'd be Jimmy Onishi. From the very first season, he had an acute understanding to the nature of the show.
今回滑ってようが受けようがみんな笑えへんということが前提ですから笑ったら負けなんでそれが前提にあるので何をやってもええなとやりやすいです今回は新ネタをどんどん出していきます
If not for his weak defenses and his tendency to self-destruct, he maybe could have been a champion. The key to building off of one's failure is persistence. Ayumu Kado stands out, in my opinion, as an unfunny comedian that grows on you over time. Despite his jokes being dismissed initially, Kado's confidence to keep performing his mediocre material began to affect the comedians.
おいお前ちょっとおっぱい触れおっぱい触れなんでそれおっぱい触れ
なんでやねん、
ええからおっぱい触れ早くおっぱい触れ
なんやねん
おっぱい触れ
なんやねんなんかあんの
The many attempts to adapt Documental for other countries aren't well received as they fail to live up to the original's standards. The formula only seems to work because of the unique qualities of owarai. The tsukomi and boke dynamic means that they have to respect and work with each other in order to be entertaining.
ついてますけど、もうほとんどメンタルの方のゲームだと思いますね。川原とかアントニーとかこう全然笑ってないやつ見るとどういう神経してるのかなと思っちゃいますね。これで笑わないって逆にお前ら大丈夫かっていうふうに思ってしまいましたけどね。
As someone who enjoys this show, I'm always baffled at how these comedians are dying of laughter every minute. My favorite parts of the show is seeing them all try to hold back a smile. They pace around the room, fidget, open their mouths wide. The craziest moment is when this comedian concentrates so hard that he becomes drenched in sweat. Seeing the comedians laugh gives them humanity. Even the ones I find irritating are redeemed as we become comrades in what we find funny. Maybe what winning a show like Documental reveals is in fact who is the least funny. Because if you're not able to laugh, do you truly have a sense of humor? What matters the most? Being able to tell good jokes? Being well balanced? Or is it that perhaps the funniest person is the one who invites the laughter to be created together?